Welcome to the YNTAAY Minis. I'm Scooby Dooby Doo. No, really, it's me, Chris. But I'm here today because this is very exciting. Today is the 50th birthday of this great Dane, Scooby Doo. Yes, 50 years ago, one of my all-time favorite animated shows, Scooby Doo, Where Are You?, premiered. It was Saturday morning, September 13th, 1969. No, I wasn't born yet, but the show was a mystery and it featured such characters as Fred, Velma, Scooby Doo, Shaggy, and Daphne. And they were high school students, believe it or not, and they would go around and solve mysteries in creepy swampland areas. And what was fun was they would always catch the killer. Well, I always say killer. It was more like monsters. Nobody got killed. And there were always like robberies and little disappearances of people. And they would be very nosy and solve these mysteries. I don't know where the police were. And then they would apprehend them. And there would always be a police figure standing there, because you have to call the authorities, kids. And they would unmask them, and then they would be like, "Oh, Farmer Jake," and they would pull off his mask, and he'd be like, all the villains said this, "I would have gotten away with it if it hadn't been for you kids and that dog." So it was always my favorite show. Had great music, great everything. And I decided, just for fun, I would rewatch the pilot that aired 50 years ago and see what it was like. I mean, I've seen it before, of course, but the very first one was, "What a night for a night." And the description says, while walking home from the movies, Shaggy and Scooby discover a black suit of armor in a pickup truck, and the gang deliver it to the local museum. The kids later break into the museum to search for clues after learning that the archaeologist who was transporting the suit is missing. And they find the knight's armor has come to life. And yes, here he is. The knight was terrorizing the area. So I watched this episode, and I'm like, first of all, I watched the opening theme. It's great instantly. Scooby Dooby Doo, where are you? And I'm like, this show has great underscoring. The music is so fun and fast-paced. And it was, I don't know who did the music. I need to research this. But it was like, dun, diddle, diddle, dun, 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 burn, diddle, dun, dun, wow, 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 dun, diddle, dun, 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 diddle, dun. And they'd be doing little chase scenes like, diddle, 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 diddle. But it was very comical, but very creepy, too. I said the setup is creepy. A professor who works at a museum is driving a suit of armor in a pickup truck, and the suit of armor springs to life in the back of the pickup truck, and then the guy disappears. So what was funny, and the professor is Jameson Hyde White. I said, I pray he's not dead. Don't worry, kids, he wasn't. So Mr. Wickles is the curator of the museum. They talked to him, and he was my main suspect because he was the only other person in the episode. And what was funny, the show encourages breaking and entering and destruction of property as long as it's in the name of saving somebody. So what was funny, they break into this museum, and we learn that Shaggy is the swingingest gymnast in school. And I was like, really? I didn't remember that. And what was funny, Velma and Daphne and Fred didn't seem to have very much character development in this episode. It was very Shaggy and Scooby heavy, which is fine. And even then, I bet I wondered in that first episode when I very first saw it, I wondered if Velma was a lesbian. But that's a mystery that we've always wondered about. I wonder if that's still PC. Can I say that now? I loved her orange sweater, though. Scooby destroys a dinosaur skeleton set up in the museum. It may be a T-Rex. And just to nibble on a bone, even though he's had 2 Scooby snacks. And people always wonder, were Scooby snacks, was it like a metaphor for drugs? Or they always had the munchies, Shaggy and Scooby? The other 3 never did. But you could bribe them to do anything and they would do it if they got a Scooby snack or some sort of sandwich, like a quadruple decker thing, and you tie it with a string. I've never tried the string thing. And Scooby dresses up as an artist in this to try and trick the Black Knight. And yes, he has a little beret on. And then there's canned audience laughter. Oh, I just loved it. Well, anyway, the killer does turn out to be Mr. Wickles, as I suspected. And he was using the Black Knight legend to scare people away so him and his goons could forge paintings and artwork and switch them out in the museum. So, and the professor is alive that was kidnapped. He was being hidden in the museum under like a blanket with a little, I don't know, a tiki head or something. So it was very good. It was very well written, and I said to myself, kids and their parents and their stoner cousins could enjoy this show. And I think it's going to be a hit. That's my review, as if I was watching the pilot. Now, last Halloween, you're wondering, are these my pajamas? No, I wore this last Halloween, and look, I love this Scooby Doo thingy. Oh, and look, I even have my Scooby Doo thermos. I had a lunchbox that went with it, but I found a bug crawling on it, and I was so creeped out that I threw the lunchbox away, which I regret to my everlasting days. But so at work, the place where I go on weekdays, my coworkers and I dressed as the Scooby Gang. Here we are. And my boss, Cynthia, was Daphne. Jameson, no relation to the professor. Jameson was Fred. I was Scooby. And Paolo was Shaggy. And, of course, Lindsay was Velma. And look, this picture caused controversy because my tail, or Scooby's tail, looked rather unfortunate there, hanging down. And we didn't notice it until after we took the picture. And it's like, is that his tail, we hope? So we edited it out with the amazing Photoshop techniques. But, I mean, that is his tail. He can't help it if his tail hangs down. But, yes, it was a big hit, that costume thingy. And here I am with Shaggy. Here's a classic. Shaggy would always jump into Scoob's arms. Here is Scooby and Daphne. And, of course, we even changed our ID badges at work so that they had all of our characters. So there's my Scooby badge. There is Scooby with Velma. And, of course, the boys of Scooby Doo, Fred and Scooby and Shaggy. And I even went out and got some Scooby snacks. There's that badge again. So we went all out. We loved it. You know, Scooby Doo stuff is all over my house. I can't even round it all up. This picture hangs in my bathroom, and it actually came in this amazing frame. And look, it's one of those silvery, shiny pictures. But I love it. They're always running, even though they seem to know that these monsters were people underneath. They would always run from them like they were being terrorized. But they did have some very scary villains. Look, I've listed my favorite ones. Here's the Ghost of Hyde. I think that was a jewel thief thing, and somebody with suction cups was climbing up the side of a building while dressed as the Ghost of Hyde. And they would always, the Hyde was like, ha, 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 ha. Then there were the witch and the zombie that were haunting an old riverboat, and they were like looking for a sunken armor. What are those like Brinks trucks with the armor, and they were going through the swamp on a boat with a metal tip spike thingy, you know, a pole, and they were trying to find the truck that had sunk in the swamp. Another one was the spooky space kook, and he was like, ha ha, and Scooby's like, row, 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 raggy. And then my other favorites were the phantom shadows. I mean, look at these. These are things of nightmares, and children are watching this in the late 60s and early 70s. Now, Scooby Doo went on forever. It still goes on to this day in some form or another. There were Scooby Doo movies, more Scooby TV shows. His unfortunate nephew Scrappy Doo came and ruined everything because I don't like Scrappy Doo. He's just a little puppy, but he was like, puppy power! Very annoying. I don't like when shows bring little children on. Or, you know, it just ruins everything. And it did with Scooby Doo as well. But there were two movies. The first one was better than the second one. There were, and these are motion picture movies, live action. Then there have been other TV shows over the years. So Scooby Doo is still in our consciousness after 50 glorious years. So happy birthday to Scooby and the gang. I don't know what that sound was, but he was like, he would do that little laugh like, so yes, I just wanted to do a salute to Scooby Doo, and now I can wear these pajamas every night because they're so comfortable. Look at the whole thing, and yes, I still have the tail that we always try to keep from people thinking that it's something else. So, happy birthday, Scooby Doo. Okay, goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. Rut-row, Raggy.